What's good? What's really good, son? A lot of you or some of you might be thinking like, man, where the fuck is George? He hasn't been on the show for a couple episodes. But George, he's busy because he's a coach, and he got big clientele, and right now he's probably in Sweden, or he's coming back from Sweden for the UFC. He's actually was there to corner Nordine Taleb, one of his guys, and his guy won unanimous decision. Fought an up and coming guy and stopped him in his tracks because he was actually undefeated before he met Nordine. So props to George. Good work. But the show moves on. He'll be back in the next episode for sure because I always love talking to George, so it's all good. But anyways, on this episode of Kumite Radio, we have Tim Cho. Tim Cho is a Korean-American youngster. He is an up-and-comer from the Midwest. He's doing his thing for Bellator MMA. He just recently debuted for that promotion at Bellator 175 and, threw them fangs in the third round and knocked out JD Harwick real quick. So it was very impressive for his debut. So I'm pretty sure Bellator, is taking notice and probably going to give him a couple fights to prep him because he's still a youngster. But he'll probably be on a main card in no time. But on the podcast, he talks about his life growing up in the Midwest, his family, how his life and his family kind of shaped him to be who he is right now, joining the military, going through life, right now, currently being a soldier, personal trainer, and fighter all at the same time. So his life is pretty busy, and he talks about everything that goes with that. So, on this episode, you got this guy you know, that you might not know about, but his story is cool. So you better listen to that shit for real. Okay, Radio. Today we have joining us Tim Cho. He is a fighter that fights for the Bellator promotion. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Oh, same old thing. First thing that I want to talk to you about is that over here in Asia, since you are in North America, in Asia, not many people know who you are. So could you, tell us some things about yourself?
Yeah, I'm 23 years old. I grew up wrestling. I grew up in Illinois, over in the States. And I'm in the military as well. My parents were born in Korea. I'm 100% Korean. And when I'm first generation out of here. So um, when I came here, I've grown up. I've been very competitive. I love sports, and right after high school, I joined the military and came back. Kind of got burnt out from wrestling and want to try something different. So I started training when I was 19 years old over at Team Verne MMA, located out of Crystal Lake, Illinois, and just kept going, kept training. Always wanted to be a world champ. Always wanted to make a name for myself and be on like a big show, like Bellator. So it was quite the experience. So yeah.
All right, going back to, I want to talk about all that stuff. So let's start from the beginning, with your family. Like, are you born in the States or were you born in Korea?
Yeah, so I was born in the States. My dad was born in Korea. My mom was born in Korea. I was raised by a stepmom though. My parents divorced when I was at a young age. But yeah, so like uh, I was growing up very Americanized. I know a little bit of Korean. I love Korean food, but my grandparents, when my parents were going through a divorce, was raising us. When I was super young, when I was very little. So I know a little bit, but uh, you know, yeah. So my parents were born in Korea, and I was born in Chicago.
Oh, awesome. Have you been back to Korea or have you gone to Korea, in the past?
Actually, I've never been to Korea. I've always wanted to go. My whole life, I was like, man, I really want to go to Korea. When when I joined the military, I was like, hopefully I get stationed out there or something. But it's never happened. So I've been currently serving for about 5 years right now. So um, hopefully I can make an order to go out there. That'd be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Or
Or
fight out
even,
there too. That'd be awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have Bellator have their first card out here. You could be on that thing,
Oh
right?
my gosh, that would be the greatest experience ever.
Yeah, it would be pretty insane to be part of it. That's part of history, being the first card and first Bellator card out here. Um,
Yeah, they've never been out there. UFC either, right?
oh, the UFC's been out here one time. Bellator has
Oh,
not.
really?
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Growing up in the States, right? I want to kind of get into it because I actually grew up in the States myself since I was young. I was born in Korea, but I moved to the States and grew up there since I was young. Um, like when you're growing up in the States and you're like a Korean person or an Asian person. I wanted to go into kind of like the struggles of like playing sports because Asians are not really known to be the most athletic people in the world, right? So,
Right.
what were the struggles that you had, growing up and playing sports with, most of the time you're the smaller guy. So, could you kind of
Yeah,
go get
I
into that?
actually, yeah. Funny story. So growing up, my brother joined wrestling, and I wanted to do it. Right. My brother was always bigger than me, and like you were saying, like I was always a smaller guy. Oh man, my middle school, all the way up to high school, I was such a small guy, and then after high school, I kind of got bigger. So it kind of made me tougher in a way. Like I had a different mindset. I always wanted to, work harder than the guy next to me. I always wanted to, set goals really high, and that's what I'm doing right now. And that's what, it helped me a lot. Just having that mindset as a kid to just keep grinding. And like like for example, my sixth grade year, I wrestled. Um, my sixth grade year, I wrestled 65 pounds. I was small,
Uh,
and then like I wrestled 75 the year after, and then 80 pounds eighth grade year, So I was a small kid. Like freshman year, I was 100. I wrestled 90 pounds, and then sophomore year 103, junior year 103, senior year 113. The heaviest I've ever weighed in high school was like 130, you know. So like as far as I just realized I just have to adapt to whatever happens, and I have a different mindset on things. I just want to be the toughest out there. I want to be the strongest out there, and that's why for me, what I do right now, I'm a personal trainer, and it helps a lot with like relating to people as far as setting goals and stuff, and just like being able to just adapt and just whatever happens, and if crap doesn't go your way, just adapt and overcome.
for sure.
Yeah.
What else drew you to, other than your brother and, the things that you just mentioned, what else kind of drew you to wrestling at such a young age? Because wrestling is probably the hardest sport overall to get involved in,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning.
Yeah, it was different. You know what I thought it was at first? Like WWF and all that.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
the pro wrestling and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was. So like when I first did it, I thought like we were gonna be able to clothesline people and stuff. No, the biggest impact in my life that made a difference was my stepmom. She raised me since I was 3, and she's very Americanized and stuff, but like she didn't want us. Like we grew up in a pretty wealthy neighborhood. We grew up in Barrington, and so like she was like she doesn't want us to be like playing golf or like some wimp sport. No offense to anyone doing all that stuff. I play golf once in a while too, but she wanted us to be like tough kids. she didn't want anything like she taught us great values and stuff. Work hard for what you want. So like she was like at first she was like, let's get you guys into hockey. That's pretty rough. And I was like, all right. I tried it. I hated it. Let's try basketball. Basketball is alright. Whatever. It's not touch much for me. And then she was like, yeah, let's try wrestling. My brother did it first. It was awesome because I remember how excited my brother was. And then he motivated me to do it. And oh man, I fell in love with it. There's no one else that's gonna, you know, it's like it's a team sport, but it's more individualized. So that's what I loved about it the most. If I lose a match, it's not my team's fault. Like it's on you. So yeah, my mom made a pretty big impact on what I did as far as sports wise and stuff. And
How important is it for, like a young kid, to have a parent that is, pushing you and kind of supporting you in what you're doing and kind of, putting you into the right direction? Now that you look back at it, how important was that for you?
it was awesome. I had the support from her. She believed in me, and from then on there, like I was able to just grind on myself. I was able to just motivate myself. I knew what I had to do. I knew how to put in the work. I had to, you know, put in the work. Even my coach wasn't looking. If I have to run on the weekends or if I have to lift on the weekends when there's no practice or no training, I'll do it. So um, yeah, it's like they paved the path for me. And I
Mm.
just gotta run through it and keep going.
Um, I see that you're like from what you've been saying is that your family, is very important for you. Like you have like it seems like you seem like you have a strong relationship with like, you mentioned your brother and your mom or your stepmom and stuff like that. So, um,
Well, like it sounds like that, but like growing up, wrestling was actually my outlet. It was my
mhm,
channel to things.
mhm,
You know how you know a lot of Koreans could really drink and stuff, right?
yeah,
So my parents growing up, I'm just saying like my parents growing up, like my birth mom, for example, was an alcoholic. My dad was an alcoholic. So um, I needed something to channel my energy the right way. The big impacts that really made a. That's what I'm saying. My mom. I haven't said my dad yet. Not
mhm,
to put anything against him or anything, but like alcoholism is a big thing. And it was a kind of a rough kind of upbringing at first. It was tough at first, me growing up and stuff. But I was able to find a sport that I was able to, you know, let my aggression out. And, instead of being violent at home, I could be violent in the gym and I could just grind and that was awesome. It was like, it was probably one of the best things that ever happened was wrestling, really, because growing up, it was hard. It was hard on me. It was tough on me. So, um, alcoholism is no joke and it's real. So,
yeah. Seriously,
um,
like I live in Korea right now, so I kind of have a, understanding of like the whole society and how alcohol has, like when you go outside, you just see people walking down the street by themselves and some people sleeping on the side of the road, in the middle of winter, drunk, and they don't even know where they're at. So, seeing those types of things in Korean society, it's like a big eye opener. Like, personally myself, I'm not a big drinker. I don't really drink at all, and I think the reason
yeah,
why is seeing those types of things, and I don't want to be, that way. So, uh,
exactly. No, but, yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure.
Um, moving on, like, you wrestled, through high school, and what made you kind of decide to join the military?
It was a rough patch of me, or for me at the time. The norm in society, of course, is like you go to high school, you go to college, and so on, so on, so on. Um, so for me, like, uh, I met my mom, my birth mom. I haven't seen her in years, probably at least 10 years of my life. And, I met her and stuff. I was like, all right, now I'm starting to see her a little bit and starting to see a little bit more about who she is and stuff. And our parents weren't doing so good right now, at the time with financial stuff. And I was just trying to think like what I could do to, I still want to go to school. I love learning, still want to go to college. And so that's where I made my decision to join the military. And honestly, it was one of the best decisions I made. Probably was one of the second best decisions I made because I was able to, really, they really care about, their soldiers and just, what we want to achieve, and stuff like that. And they really just guide you, the right direction into achieving success. And, I don't regret 1 minute of it, signing those papers to serve our country. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
serving your country, uh, like where have you been stationed?
So I'm a reservist. So I'm located out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Mhm.
So that's where our reserve station are. We go like once a month and stuff, and 2 weeks out of the year. Um, it changes every year usually for it's called our AT, our annual training. So it always it always changes though. But like I've been in for 5 years. I'm about to resign for another three. So um, so I just go to that unit every month. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it says that you're an optical lab specialist. What is that exactly?
Um, so like I fabricate glasses. Um, so what that is there's an optometrist and there's a optical lab specialist, which is an optician, another name for that. So I pretty much uh cut the lens into their frame and stuff, and you know sculpt their glasses. I guess you could say the doc is the one that writes out their prescription, like what kind of prescription they have, and they leave it to opticians to fabricate the glasses.
Oh wow, that's very interesting. It's
Yeah.
it's how did you decide that you would when you were in the military you're gonna go towards doing that?
I didn't. I didn't really think, to be honest. I was 18 years old. I just joined. It gave me the biggest bonus. I was like, I could try this out. Something different. I thought it was something special. After a couple of years, I ended up, it was all right, but I can't really change it. Well, I decided not to. And then, that's what I'm doing now. So,
All
but,
right.
not a big deal because, I just got promoted into a new unit. So, I'm gonna be doing something else.
Balancing being in the military and having a job and then also being a fighter, which means you have to train. How do
Yeah.
handle all of that?
I just put my goals in front of me every day. I enjoy my work, for one. I enjoy fighting, two. Three, Army. I there's no regrets I've ever made by signing those papers or serving our country or doing whatever we gotta do to get the job done. So those three things, does it sound like I'm unhappy at all? No, it doesn't. So it's like really like I have nothing to be upset about. I just have to be very organized and scheduled, if you get what I'm saying. So I have to just manage my time wisely and stuff. And to be honest, it's making time go quick, which sucks. Because, when time goes quick, we get older. No one likes that.
For sure.
But um, I love what I do. I'm enjoying life day by day. Every day is a new opportunity to meet new people, to be better, to be a better person, and and just that much closer into chasing your dreams and goals and aspirations.
Okay. When, like you wrestled, through basically your whole life and then you're in the military, then how did you end up at Curran MMA with Team Curran?
So Jeff Curran, that's his gym, and he's my head coach. Um, One of my good friends, his name's Isaac. I went to high school with him. His uh, stepdad told him about Jeff. You know, Jeff's a legend and he's a great fighter. But Jeff also did carpeting like while he was, being while he was a fighter and stuff during that time. And his name's John. And John told him that yeah, Jeff used to do my carpet all the time and stuff. And go check his gym out. You'll love it. I'm like, all right, I'll do that. So it was more of a recommendation from someone. And then I started in 2013, and man, I fell in love with it. The team is different. The team is very different in a good way. Um, very, very positive people. Usually, my expectation of gyms are, everyone's a cocky brat. They want to rip your head off.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. We're not like that. When we have people come into our gym, we're really cordial. We're really nice to them, and you know, we're just there to do work, But we're very humbled as well.
Yeah, yeah, there are certain gyms out there where you go there and they are trying to rip your head off. And
Yeah,
like
there's bad
even
energy,
myself, I'm not even a fighter, and I'll go to certain gyms and the guys are there to prove a point, like you're in our gym and we're gonna, tap you this many times when you're not even there to, go at them full blast. But that's good to hear that there are gyms out there that are treating people well when they come in.
Yeah.
Um, like you
Yeah.
start, yeah, you started training with them, and when did you decide like, hey, I'm gonna go pro? I'm gonna start fighting like in competition.
You're talking about like when I first started training there.
No, when did you first decide like you're gonna compete?
Well, when I first started training there, I told him like I was talking to Chuck, and he usually deals with any new people that walk in, and he's like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want to fight. I want to, you know." And I'm sure Chuck gets that from a lot of people. He's like, "I want to fight," but no, I was actually really ready to just build myself up, and I did. Like I told you before, like I'm a very competitive person. That's my personality, and um, so that's what I did. I trained for about a good 6 to 8 months before I had my first boxing fight. And then before I even had my first MMA fight, I started boxing a lot,
Mm.
and with my coach Doug Mango. And then I fought Golden Gloves a couple years, couple times, and so like after I was 5-0 as an amateur for MMA, and I just listened to my coaches. I've always have. I've never disagreed. Whatever they felt, I believe that if they believe in me, then why should I not believe in myself either, right? So after my last amateur fight, that's when I made my pro debut. So
Oh,
it was always in me. It was always in me to
mhm.
to be a competitor, just like I always said. Is like and being able to put every kind of art in this sport. If you get what I'm saying, like there's
Yeah.
Muay Thai, there's wrestling, there's jujitsu, there's boxing, and there's so many different things out there. Now the option of learning is always going to be endless. You know, that's why like this is a very addicting sport for me.
Of course, like it is endless. There's so much,
Yeah,
everybody can learn. Even the guys that have been training for 20 years, they're still learning things. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I see that, in your amateur career, you went undefeated. How does it feel going into your pro debut, you know, staying undefeated as an amateur? How does that help you with your confidence?
Helps tremendously. I think confidence, there's a difference. If you're really confident in yourself, you really believe in yourself, then it's gonna show in your fight. And that's how I felt. Um, I'm not really big on being a cocky person. I feel like I'm pretty, a humble person, but I believe when you put in the work, that it'll always be presented in a fight, and it all starts with that mindset. You know, if you're confident in your own skill set, then you're able to perform like you train. You know, so um, like my last fight was a great example. Everything was perfect down to the T, and it felt awesome. You know, um, I listened to my coaches, and I did everything that I was planning to do.
Um, in your pro debut, in you lost your pro debut, right?
I did.
Yeah. Like after going, doing so well as an amateur and then you make your pro debut and you lose, how do you overcome that, that setback after you've been
Oh, that
doing
was
so
hard. That
well?
was probably one of the hardest. Yeah, that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with. I had so much confidence going into this fight, and you know, in MMA, it's a 4 ounce glove, right?
Yeah.
So it's very easy to get caught. Like, you know, it's easy. It takes one punch, and I threw a lazy kick. I got caught. It crossed down the pipe and got me cold. But how I looked at it was like, yeah, I felt like shit. I was in tears. Next morning, I thought it was a dream, but yeah, that shit sucked.
Yeah.
But I was able to just, I believed I was better than that fight, and I just told myself I got caught, and whatever happened from here on out, I know I'm gonna make the good decision, the best decision, and if I quit now, then I'd be a fool, because that's what I told myself. I'd be a fool because, and this is what I come to learn. Learn the further I do well in my career, the harder it's gonna be for me to quit. I'm not saying I want to quit. I'm just saying that you work so damn hard to be where you're at, and you just want to quit because of one fight, or I could not quit and look at it like, all right, it was a learning experience, whatever, move on, let's keep learning. Let's keep riding that train to learn, be better. And man, that's what I did. I was like, fuck this, I got this, move forward. And then I ended up going on a 4 fight win streak, you know? So, like, it's like those what ifs, right?
Yeah.
What if I would have quit? I would not be on a 4 fight win streak, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
all about
incredible.
chance. It's all about, like, being, yeah. So it's all about just never quit, never give up. That's what I always tell myself, and I live by it.
Yeah, to me, like MMA fighters are, just your story that you just mentioned is they're so many ways they're so inspirational because you reach the highest of the highs and you reach and you go down, to the lowest of the lows, but then you pick yourself up and like you said, you lose your debut, but you go on a 4 fight win streak right afterwards. And
Right,
it's inspirational, and a lot of people, I don't know if they don't, they just look, a lot of people just look at the brutal side of MMA, like the knockouts and those brutal sides, but they
yeah,
never sit down and kind of like see. And that's why I kind of wanted to talk to you about that, is because of that reason, is to kind of get the listeners to understand that there's a lot of stuff that people have to overcome, to get to, the level
yeah,
that right now you're still in the beginning stages of your career and you just made your
yeah,
debut at Bellator. So you still
yeah.
have a long,
That was big.
long journey.
Oh, yeah. Like, this is the one thing I could say is, like, um, if people understand this, that how much of fighting could really go into someone's head, and how, like, a loss could really make a difference in their career. Think about our, like, a lot of people don't understand, like, how much training goes into it. And, like, for example, like, any fighter, I'm not just saying just me, but any fighter will put in 3 to 4 hours a day. Probably 6 days a week, take a Sunday off. I don't know. That's how my schedule is. But, like, and they're on a fight camp. Fight camp like 8 weeks, 6 weeks. When the weeks get shorter, that's when more, your thoughts starts going a little wild or something. But what it is like the training gets more intense. and you're getting closer to that fight, right? And say if you lose, now I want people to understand that like you see how much training, how much of like your drive goes into each day to be better, work on this thing, you know?
Mm.
And it comes to like I feel like if people understand that or like how much of it like I feel like any fighter that's a fight or every fighter out there has one of the strongest mindset of keeping going, of
Oh,
never quitting because they will bounce back and they'll come back stronger. And that's just through experience, you know?
mm.
Like people who just start off fighting will probably not understand that. But, the more they condition their bodies by experiences and stuff, they will understand it, you know? And that's what I come to learn. I've been training for 4 years and I'm really understanding it a lot, you know,
Yeah,
through
you
and through,
st
experience, through experiences and stuff. And it was probably one of the coolest things I've ever had so far was to have fight on Bellator.
Yeah, going to that fight, how did you, end up signing with Bellator?
um, you know, Bellator was coming to Chicago, and you know, I live near Chicago, but not like downtown. But they were coming to Allstate, so I got this opportunity because I'm they support the military, and it was a VOW fight, a Veterans Operation Wellness. So how that works is they want a veteran you know, um, out of Illinois, which is our locals, right? And then they flew someone out to fight me from Colorado. So that's how I got the opportunity. And they loved my fight, and I'm sure I'll be back in on it again. So it's probably one of my best performances, that's for sure.
Yeah, it must be when you walk like before fighting at the Bellator event, you're on the local circuit and coming
Yeah.
out to that crowd. What was the feeling? I'm pretty sure the feeling of stepping out compared to stepping out at other shows, it was different, right?
Oh my gosh, it was surreal. But you know, I tried to visualize that before I even walked out, weeks before. You know, I put that in my head where like, I was gonna go, and I try not to have it freak me out, which it hasn't one bit. Um, I was more focused on the fight, to be honest.
Mm.
I was more focused on, doing well, performing well. It was breathtaking. It was sweet. I walk out, and it was one of the coolest things ever. Um, you know, and they played my walkout song. It was freaking awesome. Um,
Are you
so,
Do you think you're addicted to that feeling? Like when, because
oh, it's adrenaline. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah, just especially getting that, knockout in front of all, I'm pretty sure all your family, all your friends were, in attendance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it must have been pretty, yeah, like you said, surreal, right? Um, Now, what's the next, step for you as a fighter?
Um, so I just got I got some. Yeah, I just signed to Brian. With he's in charge of Sucker Punch Entertainment, and uh, Bellator loved my last fight, so they put me on a 3-fight deal with them for all prelims.
Mm.
So um, I just have to wait for the next Bellator. So
All right, that sounds
um,
good. Do you
yes, I'm
do
just
you
training.
plan on like training out in Asia or anything like that? Is there anything in the plans in the future?
I'd love to. Just gotta wait. As far as like if I get that opportunity to train, that'd be awesome.
Nowadays
So
a lot of fighters they're, coming out here, especially to Thailand. and
Oh yeah,
getting in a couple
my
weeks at a
teammate
time.
Corey. Yeah,
Yeah.
my teammate Corey was over in Thailand this past year. He loved it. He was there for like 6 weeks, I think, and he actually got a fight out there too. He's our 135er.
Hmm.
Great fighter, and he loved it out there. I'd love to go to Thailand actually. I love to like definitely like maybe this summer. That'd be sweet.
Oh,
Something.
of course. Um,
Yeah.
so, one last question. Like,
What's up?
like in being an Asian fighter, uh who like what Asian fighter do you see, past, and present that kind of influences you, at this moment?
At this moment,
Yeah.
man, I'd say Bruce Lee.
All right.
Um, yeah, it's probably the most. You know, I I love this quote. Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless like water. Now water can crash or it can flow. Is be water, my friend. Um, anything you do, like you gotta live it. You gotta be it. You gotta let it flow. You gotta, you know, and I feel like martial arts is the best description of that. It sounds kind of stupid, like, well, I'm a trainer. When I train people how to box and stuff a little bit, I just have their body do the talking. Try not to have your brain think too much, right? Don't you start throwing too much in your brain and stuff, then you start overthinking, getting frustrated, and if you throw that punch wrong and you get frustrated, your mind stops working, your mind shuts off, right? Just let your body move, let it understand why you're throwing that punch through your body, right? Um, so like when I train, I try to be it. It sounds kind of crazy to talk like that, but um, you know, martial arts is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, makes sense. Bruce Lee,
Yeah, yeah,
is he is one of the most influential people, I think, ever in the history of, mankind. So,
oh yeah, I
it's a
agree.
very inspirational thing that his quotes are. Yeah, thank you for your time, and I know you're just starting your career, and I always want to, have you come on in the future before your fights, and and I see that you have a promising future. So, like I'm always supporting all the Asian fighters, no matter what, wherever they're
Awesome.
fighting at. So,
Yeah, that's
y-
awesome.
yeah.
Really
So,
cool.
I would
No,
love to
yeah, I
have you on
appreciate you.
again.
Oh yeah, definitely. When I get that next fight date, I would definitely announce it in. I'd love to be on again. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
So I
You have a great story, man, and I hope that people get to hear about it, through the podcast.
uh,
So,
I-
yeah. Thanks for uh, thanks for your time.
yeah, yeah. Thank you again.
All right. Bye.